of Snow and Whirlpools, Chapter 4, Uziki Gakure no Jutsu. Target in sight. Are you in position? Hi, Naruto-kun. The last Yuki sent back to Naruto. Through her thoughts, the pair had been in Kiri for 2 months, and already were making a name for themselves as bounty hunters. Currently, they had just tracked down a pair of Nukian from Iwa, taking refuge on a small island within the island chains that made up Mizunokuni. Bloodline users, by their descriptions, Kuruma had guessed they were going to try to join the rebellion here. Now, while Naruto and Haku had nothing against the rebels, and in fact hated Yagura for what he had been doing, they could not deny that it would be a perfect training opportunity. The two had set up camp in a grove surrounded by trees, and that had a lake to the south. A light mist covered the whole area as it did with all places within Mizunokiri border. They seemed to be lax, unaware of the two hunters in the trees. They even had a campfire going, something that would give out their location to anyone who could see the smoke through the mist. Their bingo book entries were rather descriptive of what they did. Ryutsuchi, a rank missing of Yugakure no Sato, and former Jonin of Yugakure. Description: Ryutsuki has a top knot of dark brown hair and shining green eyes, and generally wears a tan shirt, tan pants, and a tan flak jacket. Known affinities: earth, fire, wind, primary, lava, bloodline limit, taijutsu B rank, genjutsu B rank, ninjutsu A rank, kenjutsu A rank, funjutsu, can use storage scrolls, yotsutsuchi, a rank missing of Yugakure no Sato, and former Jonin of Yugakure. Description: Yotsutsuki wears his black hair and spikes and has the shining green eyes of his clan. He generally wears brown pants, a tan shirt, and an Yugakure Jonin flak jacket. Affinities: earth, fire, primary, lava, bloodline limit, taijutsu B rank, genjutsu C rank, ninjutsu A rank, kenjutsu A rank, funjutsu, can use storage scrolls. Ryutsuki and his brother Yotsutsuki were once a famous pair of shinobi in Yugakure, known for their abilities with the Tanto and Lava release, the Yori Rendan. The two excelled in assassination and infiltration missions, and were trained by the Tsutsui family itself to control their Yutan, along with his granddaughter Kurotsuki, who was their second cousin. The brothers were very promising nin, until the two had a falling out with a group of Yugakure and Ambu, which led to a fight ending in 7 deaths and the injury of many other Yugakure Jonin and Ambu, as well as injuries to Kurotsuki herself for crimes of murder, assault, attempted murder, and stealing scrolls belonging to the Gohai clan, and explosion corpse in their escape. The Yoroi Renden were wanted alive, and upon their return to Yugakure no Sato, the party responsible will be given a sum not under 5 million Ryo and a bonus bounty of 25,000 Ryo for the safe return of the scrolls with them. They took, numbering 14 exactly. Alpha formation. Naruto heard Haku's thoughts once more and pressed them quickly. Through mindscape training and stratagem, practicing the waking world, the pair had developed many stratagems for use in many situations. That particular one was used often in battling Nukin for its speed and overall finesse that left most wondering exactly how they lost. While no Naruto did think like a fox thanks to his partial Kitsune chakra, and that meant outwitting his opponents. Hi Haku-chan, Alpha formation should work just fine in this situation. With the Duitsuki brothers, Yotsuki had his twin brother sat beside a fire of their own making, a pit of lava actually. Yotsuki was a sensory type and had already warned Ryotsuchi of the shinobi following them. The last 2 days he had decided enough was enough. Yotsuki, the elder of the brothers Barrier, asked in a hushed tone, "Whoever it is has set up on the north and west sides of our island. I think he's using the shadow clone because the signature are exactly the same. Both have Kagero reserves at the least." Ryotsuki gave an imperceptive nod in reply and sighed. "I hope you are prepared for a fight, Ryotsuki." Ryotsuki stated as he gripped the hilt of his twin Tonto and witnessed his brother do the same. "They are ready." And then suddenly two figures appeared behind each of them. Ryotsuki's eyes widened upon seeing his opponent was holding the Kubikiro Bocho. He's not even 16. How did he get that from Momochi Zabuza? That man knows the rules. The second thing he noted was that the two individuals who came down were not copies, but looked very distinct. Perhaps it was just a tactic to confuse opponents, though. He decided to play along. "Look, Yotsuki, we got a pair of brats out here." Ryotsuki decided to stay calm and collected. There's no way this guy could be one of them, right? He had to have just gotten the sword from Zabuza's corpse or something, right? The blonde before him smiled. It was one of those smiles that seemed to promise pain. "Yep, just a brat who can't handle himself. Don't mind me." Ryotsuki ducked under the horizontal slash that suddenly came his way, courtesy of the executioner's blade. As he came up, the new king grabbed his twin Tonto and lunged forward. Imagine his surprise as the person he killed stabbed through the heart and stomach suddenly exploded in a cloud of smoke. He could have sworn that it was the girl who was the clone, but maybe not. Ryotsuki kept his ears open, ready for anything that might happen with Haku. Haku wasted no time and sliced her scythe at her opponent's feet, an action which caused him to jump up. Almost immediately he had hand seals finished. Lava-style lava bullet jutsu. He released a small ball of melting mass from his mouth and straight at the Yuki, who charged her weapon with the chakra of her Kekkei Genkai. Ice style, freezing winds. With a single overclash, her scythe released an arc of light blue ice nature chakra. As soon as it hit the ball of lava, the fiery stone sizzled and steamed before it cooled and then became a ball of solid ice. The orb then shattered when Hako slammed her scythe handle into it like a club. "You know, it's funny. Ice beats lava as long as I have my winter scythe." She spoke, perhaps emulating Naruto's personality a little too much, her opponent growling in response. "You're going down, Frost Queen," Yorotsuki shouted and rushed her while performing hand seals, fire-style dragon fire jutsu. Haku analyzed the sudden stream of fire that materialized before spinning the wind scythe in response. A large circular shield of ice made from the water in the air materialized and blocked the katan jutsu perfectly. "Oh, and it beats fire too?" Haku taunted with a smirk. "So what are you going to do?" With Naruto, the blonde Uzumaki brought his giant sword down in a heavy swing, only for Ryotsuki Tatos to block it with in an X formation. He jumped back, bandages on the blade trailing him. "So these blades aren't just for show, eh, Ryotsuki? And you seem to wield Zabuza's blade with some level of proficiency, whoever you are." The blonde grinned. "If you can beat me, I'll tell you my name." Naruto replied and rested the Kubikiro Bocho on his shoulder. Can you do that? Ryotsuki matched his grin. Let's find out, Brad. Ryotsuki suddenly disappeared and nearly took off Naruto's head. If not for his quick duck with the new opening, he kicked forward, slamming his foot into the Nukin's chest and sending him back a few feet. Naruto quickly got to his feet and held giant swords in both hands, seal rays glowing bright blue as the chakra poured into it. Ninja art, steel rain, he slashed, and suddenly kunai, shuriken, and senbon exploded from the blade in a large wave, thanks to one of the seals he had deciphered on the blade. A seal that looked like a cross between storage and explosion was just that. By storing any master of things within it, he could force them to shoot out at a high velocity. By activating the seal at the same time he swung the enormous blade, while he had to replace what he shot. If he did, the sword could release 3 shots of the technique, more than enough to take on most people he had come up against, and it was also only the 3rd seal he had figured out, besides the reappearing and gravity seals he learned from when he first acquired Zabuza's sword. Unfortunately, Ryotsuki wasn't A rank for nothing, and disappeared in a swirl of lava, reappearing on a low branch looking down on the whiskered blonde. That's a trick Zabuza never knew, Brad. He grinned. I think it's time I got serious. Naruto's smile widened at the promise of a challenge, and he gripped Kubikiri Bocho tighter as he stared at his opponent. Then maybe I should too, he replied, with Kurama. The being most commonly referred to as the Nine Tails looked at her students in pride. They were even matched with a B and an A rank Nuken, both with Kekkei opposing their own sub-elemental release. It made her so proud. Over the last few weeks since the healing, Kurama had borne witness to the growth, nothing short of amazing. What was most amazing, though, in her eyes at least, is that they had achieved something no Jinchuriki of hers ever did. They unlocked her tailed powers. Tail powers were a term Biju used to describe the abilities each of their tails granted. These could be sub-elementals, extreme affinity to a particular element, or even her own negative emotion sense, while many Jinchuriki unlocked maybe one tail, such as Jeanbai's lava release, or Nibi's affinity to fire. The only human to unlock all tailed powers, save for the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi, had been the Rukadona Sennin himself, with unlocking the 10 tails. Her own abilities revealed around her kitsune form: shape-shifting, age manipulation, foxfire, dreams, illusions, invisibility, intangibility, spirit, and presence. Haku had only gained 2, foxfire and dreams, where her negative emotion sense came from. Naruto still had the 4 he always had: shape-shifting, illusions, invisibility, and intangibility. Of course, with so many tails to train, it was difficult to train all of them, so he only had the barest amount of training. It was still enough to pull off the grandest of pranks she had him design, though. Oh, how fun it was to witness the Ambu lose their mind when an academy student disappeared from their sight like some sort of ghost. That left her with her age manipulation, spirits, and presence. A combination that was still terrifying under her guidance. It was so strange, though. Somehow the mental link Naruto and she shared had been severed when Haku's and his were created. The only exception was when she was inside the seal, a place she'd rather not be. Still, with the Haku retaining all of Naruto's memories, she could remember all the training Naruto had with each of the 9 tails. Summoning Kurama thought crucial to his training. That's why she was exceptionally good with her foxfire. That and the fact that the pair could use the other's tail's powers to a minor extent because of their bonds, and the fire affinity didn't hurt. Shaking her from her idle thoughts, Grandma looked back at the fight. If something were to go wrong, she would need to help them with haku. Ice style, divine tundra. The base of Haku's scythe slammed into the ground, and from it, for 50 feet in every direction, snow covered the ground. Ground frosted the trees, and wind chilled the air. Though Haku's Kikigenkai kept her safe and unaffected, Yotsuki was not so lucky. The thing about those with Hirogaku's strain of the Yutan Kikigenkai was their body heat was higher than average, so they could make lava inside their body effectively. This meant that he felt the cold more so than another would. Welcome to my winter wonderland, Haku announced and swung her scythe up, causing the snow in front of her to rise in an arc and freeze before shooting off right at her opponent. I control all in my field, every particle of water, all the winds, all snow and ice, and temperature, and even the weather is mine, Haku explained calmly before spinning her weapon and then swung horizontally. Icicle flurry. The air froze into needles of ice where her light blue blade touched, and simultaneously they shot for Yotsuki. The lava using Nin used the quick Karikimoto escape. The barrage of ice see death, and when he reappeared, he glared at Haku. Now, I'm going to kill you, he said as he noted the 3 icicles embedded in his body. You weren't going to before? Haku asked quizzically and quickly swung her blade to create a wall of ice in front of her, blocking the barrage of shurikens sent at her. Just then, Yotsuki's eyes then widened as the steel stars frosted over and became the ice just from contact with the wall. What is this? He yelled as his legs and left arm went numb and he fell to his knees. Then on his front he could almost hear his female opponent smirking. The Fuyu no Daikama has a special characteristic. You see, anything the scythe touches or cuts will freeze, but anything its ice touches will either turn to ice if it's inorganic or lower in temperature until it is immovable and numb. If it is organic, looks like you lose, Yotsuki. Suddenly, each of them heard Yotsuki yelling, Namikaze? And turned to the other battle, eyes widened with Naruto. Wind style, wind blade. Wind release, wind blade. Naruto swung his sword straight down, releasing a blade of wind just as Asuma and Yujiro had taught him. 4 months ago, Retsuchi coated his own tantos in fire chakra and swung them in the next formation, fire style fire blade. The result was an X slash of fire that collided with the sword and caused the two to explode outwards in a burst of fiery gale. Each used a Sunshin before they were hit. Ryotsuki of lava and Naruto of fire and ice. They reached one more, and Naruto cleaver-like sword clashed against twin tanto of Ryotsuki. Not bad for a brat, Ryotsuki commented, and Naruto grinned. Same to you. Can I know the name of my opponent now? Ryotsuchi asked with an equal grin, one that showed his teeth. The blade pressed against the 2 smaller swords his Iwa native opponent used, and smiled wickedly. I suppose so, Ryotsuki. Though I'll probably be in Konoha's bingo book soon. The name's Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto, son of Uzumaki Kushina. Ryotsuki's eyes widened and he quickly jumped back. Uzumaki? Ryotsuki demanded, but Ryotsuki then silently bowed his head, sheathed his tanto, and kneeling, My apology, Uzumaki-sama. Please forgive me. I did not know who you were, or that one of the seven had found its way to the long-lost prince. The blonde stared at the man before him in something akin to curiosity. Just what the hell is going on now? Naruto looked at his kneeling opponent defensively. What do you mean, Uzumaki-sama? He asked as he gripped the sunbato in his hand tightly. Ryotsuki looked up at the teen. You don't know? Didn't Zabuza explain it to you? He asked. Zabuza gave me this sword while he was dying, Naruto said. With his last breath, he told me to use it to follow my dream. Your dream? My dream is something I'm still figuring out. Can you explain the prince part, though? My apologies, Uzumaki-sama. Ryotsuki quickly apologized. It all started decades ago at the end of the Second Shinobi World War. Uzushigakure was being sieged, and the 9 Uzukage, Uzukabe Abe, knew the hidden village would be destroyed. Haku, Yotsuki, and Kurama appeared in swirls of ice, lava, and purple fire just then. He decided to do something about it, and a few people were chosen. Representatives of each clan in Uzishigakure. He chose us to become guardians of the blades, guardians of the mind, guardians of the soul, and guardians of the heart. Yotsuki and I were only children when we were chosen and left to our clan's compound in Iwa through a space-time seal. Our clan had 2 branches, and we were heirs to the Uzushio branch of the Gohai clan. We were one of the guardians of the mind, Yotsuki continued. Our responsibility is to protect one of Uzushio's Haijutsu scrolls with our life and teach the heir to Uzushio if we find him. That is you, Naruto-sama, he said with a bow of his head. Naruto's side widened and Kuma asked the obvious question. How would you know? She asked. The previous heir was Uzumaki Kushina. Only an Uzumaki of the ruling family may hold the Kyubi no Kitsune. Mitu-sama and Kushina-sama did, and if our sources are correct, so do you, Naruto-sama. Forgive us for not recognizing you earlier, but the thrill of battle got in the way. Yes, he replied. What do the other guardians do? The guardians of Blade hold the keys to Uzushio. One of them has already found you, and the Yuki clan has another. The 2 teens looked at each other. There were originally 9 Kubi, Kiribocho, Nuibari, Shuibuki, Samehada, Kiba, Hiromakaria, Kabutowari, Hui no Daikama, and Kusangi no Tsurugi. When used in conjunction, 1 key opens the whirlpool barrier around the island, 2 will open the first level, and 3 the second, and so on. All 9 are required to open the caged tower, Shinobi Library, and Uzumaki Shrine of Artifacts. Ryotsuki explained. The Guardians of Soul are tasked with protecting different artifacts of Uzushio and can only give them to the Uzushio heir. That was Ryotsuki. Lastly are the Guardians of Heart. They are an elite group of Uzumaki survivors who are hidden amongst the countries and protect other Uzumaki as well as perform high-level missions such as assassination and spying that keeps Uzushio's best interest at heart. So, you're Naruto's teacher now? Karma asked. If Naruto-sama wishes it to be so, Ritsuki said with a bow to his head. Naruto looked at Haku, who merely agreed. I agree. What scroll is it you hold, though? Ryotsuki pulled out a blue scroll with the red Uzumaki spiral and handed it to Naruto. The second part of Zabuza's Kubi Kiribocho scroll. Naruto smiled.